So I've watched a video by a high schooler named XKCD Hat Guy. And in that video, he was a high schooler back 13 years ago. He explained the fourth dimension. And he explained it pretty well. I'm going to try to explain the fifth dimension. Okay, let's get started. I'll try to do it as fast and as smooth as I can. Imagine the first dimension being one straight line. For example, this ball pen, okay, or this pencil. If you were at the very center of a one-dimension object or one-dimensional plane of existence, you'll be only able to move in one direction alone, right? Let's just say you were at this end, you get two here, you have to turn around and move another direction, right? You can't go sideways because you were in one dimension, one length, right? That's the one-dimensional plane. Now imagine if you were in a two-dimensional plane, right? How would that be? It would be four of these one-dimensional planes connected against each other, where the end of them would be the opposite of each other. Meaning to say, in this two-dimensional plane, if you were at the very center of it, now instead of just moving in one direction, you could also move sideways, right? You could move front, backwards, left, and right. Now imagine if you were to stack two-dimensional planes infinitely, right? Infinitely amount of two-dimensional planes. You will then get a three-dimensional plane, right? Here you have one plane, this face of the cube, and then another plane, and then another, and then another. Four of them connected against each other, the opposite of each other, the corners, perhaps. You will then create a cube. Okay? I do not have the verbal, the linguistic abilities that the student in the aforementioned video had, so I cannot really convey it through words as well. So if you want to, you could just watch this video to further understand. But basically, if you were a three-dimensional being, right, just as how the second dimension added another way of moving, right, moving around. First, you were only able to move in one direction, and now you were able to move in two directions, right? Frontward, backwards, left, and right. In the cube, you'll be able to move in three directions. Okay? You'll be able to move front, back, left, right, up, down. That's the range of movement. Here in our plane, in our existence here, in the three dimension, that's how we could move, right? That's the limits of three-dimensional beings. That's the range of motion we are able to attain. The fourth dimension is just as how we connected four of these planes, these 2D planes, created a cube. You will then be able to, theoretically, if you were to connect four cubes and have each of their ends the opposite of each other, just as how the boy said, you will create a tesseract. A fourth dimension being needs to add another way of movement, a range of motion. A fourth dimensional being will have another capability that will exceed three-dimensional beings. Meaning to say that if you really think about it, what our minds could perceive, there is no longer any way for a fourth dimensional being to add a method of movement through space, right? Through all of this, we're talking in the terms of space, measurement of distance. But space is only one aspect of the universe, right? A fourth dimensional being then could maybe perhaps move through time, forwards and backwards of time, through time, right? So now he could move up, down, left, right, forwards and backwards through space, and then he could move forwards through time, backwards through time. So that's a fourth dimensional being in a plane that could maybe perhaps be a tesseract. A fifth dimensional being then will have, you have to connect 4 tesseracts and have their ends perpendicular, or sorry, not perpendicular, opposites against each other. Then you would have to create a new shape, right? I do not know what scientists might think of that shape. I don't know what the name is, but just imagine this, right? A fifth dimensional being needs to add another method of movement, range of motion. Is there perhaps another way to add a motion to time, right? I mean, isn't time linear? Time only moves in a straight line, right? Then you can't move. You can't go left or right through time. So what could a fifth dimensional being do then? Perhaps a fifth dimensional being could move through realities. What do I mean by this? He could move forwards, backwards, left, right, up, down, forwards and backwards through time. And now he could move through different realities. The range of movement does not need to matter. Or perhaps our mind sees it that it doesn't matter, but maybe it does. We can't really say. Does it matter if the reality you move is through the front or through the back, left, right? I don't think so. You're just moving through realities, right? So you're moving through realities. That's a fifth dimensional being. What does that mean? Well, perhaps in this reality, the world we live in, this is how it is. If you move through a different reality, maybe, Abraham Lincoln didn't die, or Rome still exists, right? The Roman Empire. That's what a fifth dimensional being could answer or do. It could move through realities and move within that reality. What does a fifth dimensional being cannot do then, if he moves through realities as a whole? Well, that's what a sixth dimensional being could do, right? And really, even now, scientists cannot really perceive it. How could you go further than moving through realities? What is the restraint of a fifth dimensional being that could move through realities? We could only wander and ponder. But that's the end of the video. I hope you learned something from a high schooler. Thank you for watching. Maybe I'll make a video explaining a sixth dimension in the future if I wanted to, if I study enough hypothetical astronomy. No, it's not astronomy, it's... I forgot the profession of scientist here. Whatever. This is all just hypotheticals, right? what does if? Whatever. This is all hypotheticals in the end, anyways. There you go.